Yeah. I know last time I said the follow-up episode was next, but it's summer, sort of. And I've been dying to have a summer game on the show. And that is what we have today. Hi, welcome to the Game Dungeon. Today we have a plot twist, and I'm bringing you a scandal. Now, it's a small scandal, but it is real. It is so real. I have proof. So with that, we have TrackMania, squared? Canyon. Yeah, I think the name of this game is TrackMania² Canyon, but I'm not sure I'll ever really know. If you go to the store page, it says TrackMania². Now, the famous example of this sort of thing is Half-Life 2. On their title, they always made the 2 look like it's Half-Life squared instead. But this goes back farther than that. It's less overt, but Descent 3 is looking like Descent cubed. See, on Moby Games, they even call it Descent cubed. Alright. Though in fairness, the Descent series is as 3D as it gets. So no doubt they wanted to drive that home with the number 3. As for Half-Life, whatever you want to say about the game, it's clear they're building a math theme here. The lambda symbol has become the game's logo. We have some fragments of equations or something on the box. You play as a physicist. We have rows of computers, guys in lab coats doing equations. Half-Life has always given the impression that none of this would be possible if there weren't mathematical geniuses working around the clock to tear down reality for you. See, look at that. This is what happens when math gets out of control. So Half-Life earns the right to make their sequel look like it's squared instead of just 2. Because hey, we were about guys in lab coats doing math from the beginning. We'll square any damn thing we want. But Trackmania, where the hell is this coming from? Even Half-Life 2 doesn't actually square the title. Damn it, Fury 3 did this even earlier. Now I don't even know how far back this goes. And the real slap in the face is there is no Fury 1 or 2, just cubed. So at least Trackmania² has that going for it. It is indeed a sequel. Yeah, this is another one of those games where I haven't even played the originals. The original Trackmania goes back to 2003, and it's gained a cult following with 5 expansions. But I'm an environments junkie, and the screenshots of the Trackmania 1 games never quite did it for me, so I passed. But then, in 2011, TrackMania Canyon showed a trailer, and whoa! Look at this! This looks almost real! Except it's not, these are crazy courses, but wow! It says TrackMania Canyon, and that is a canyon. I like canyons. Alright, sold. I'm gonna buy this as soon as it becomes as cheap as a sandwich. And that's exactly what happened, years later. So I feel like a bit of a hypocrite because I think this may be the only game I've bought for the graphics. Because best I can tell, it's almost the same game as Trackmania. But damn, they went all in on the visuals and now I want to play it. I mean, it's not just the graphics because hey, I love Need for Speed 3, but that has way better art direction with their Canyon despite coming out years earlier. Hell, even Need for Speed 2's Canyon looks more appealing. So we're in a weird space where maybe it's the graphics, maybe it's just the art direction? I don't know, let's start. Oh wait, we can't start. This game not only has its own launcher, but you have to sign in and create a new password. But you can play offline if you downloaded it first, I think? So this game isn't online only, except it kind of is? Whatever, kudos for maintaining that gray area. I almost never see something like this. More on that later. Once you start, you have a few game modes, but really it's all the same thing. This game is about racing through tracks and getting the best time. Solo is the closest thing we have to a campaign, so we'll go with that. You have a bunch of tracks that you normally have to unlock, but I can't show you that without buying another copy of the game, because this is another one of those no backwards progress games, and I've unlocked these. So just imagine you can't play these all at the start. More on that later. And here is the game. You rocket out the start, drive through the course, and yeah, that's pretty much the whole game. It's its own reward as far as I'm concerned. Just a bright and sunny day out in the desert to do some racing. I guess I could end the episode now, but we'll keep going. Especially since you soon realize these are no ordinary racing tracks. Oops, I'm pretty sure that jump doesn't meet safety standards. And of course, this looks like it was built inside the Grand Canyon, or maybe Jordan or Italy. If there are any geography experts watching, you can let us know where you think this takes place. Yeah, congratulations, you finished the race. Bam! By the time you get to the third level, you get a clearer picture of what this game is about. Yeah, just pull off this gigantic jump through this massive arch. This track is also trial by fire for the controls, too. Guess how you jump through that gap? If you go pedal to the metal, you slam into it too high. So that means you have to hit the ramp at a slightly slower speed, right? Wrong. You hit the ramp just as fast, but then you have to lay off the accelerator while you're in the air. If you keep spinning your tires, you get too much lift. Yeah, that's a sign you're not playing a simulator, when you need to be aware of your air control in a car game. The last time I saw something like that was in Terminal Velocity, but he didn't have a lot of mid-air car control. In the movie, he's a professional skydiver, and all he managed to do was get the trunk open. I guess that created some drag, but it didn't seem to do much for the car. Yeah, see? This wasn't a good example. Let's try another one. Okay, well this isn't too bad, but the picture's kind of blurry. I can't tell how much is his driving and how much is the car itself. He keeps taking his hand off the wheel. Let's try another. Okay, now we're talking. Yeah, he's trying to drive it. It's fighting him, but it looks like he might be getting it under control. No, never mind. Okay, so I guess the verdict's still out on how accurate the car control is. The physics in this game are weird. I never really know what's going to happen. It makes me a little nervous, to be honest. So each track is over very quickly until they're not, but we'll get to that. For now, these are like little snacks that you're done with in 30 to 40 seconds. It's generally a nice experience. See, now it's not. This one isn't the worst, not even close. But they need you to do 5 laps. Why? We have this utterly massive Butte Crop desert to work with, so instead, let's do a bunch of laps like any other racer. I mean, the sky's the limit in this game, in more ways than one, you'll see. Normally you drive on circular tracks due to space and resource constraints, but none of that applies here. We have the whole desert to work with. Why not just have a track with the curves you want that's 5 times as long? What can I say? I guess some people are just born to go in circles as fast as they can. Ah, evening light. I have to say, the visuals in this game are so nice. They're so nice. I normally hate deserts, but I like this one. The racing infrastructure here combined with the lighting, it just creates a really nice atmosphere. This game has a mood. It also has a new mechanic here where if you drive over these painted lines, you get a massive speed boost. I'm pointing that out because that's the only aspect of this game I think is just a game mechanic and can never exist in the real world. Everything else, well, it feels possible. That's not to say they don't take liberties. Like, I'm no architect, but I'm pretty sure this part of the track could use a few support columns. Maybe they're using those carbon nanotubes. But yeah, the graphics really sell this game for me because no racing courses are like this. They're all concerned with being practical and not killing the drivers and stuff like that. So combining these realistic looks with unreal courses makes everything surreal, which is a good place to be. And this is a DirectX 9 game from 2011. I remember when DirectX 10 came out, Microsoft was making these completely disingenuous comparisons for showing how much better DirectX 10 was. I love how they even changed the texture on one of the comparisons. Well, this is the real DirectX 9 comparison to beat. Damn. You know, real-time ray tracing is being touted as the big thing in graphics right now. But I have to say, now that we're getting closer, I kind of don't care anymore. It's not that we can't make graphics look better, it's just that we've gotten so good at cheating with raster graphics like this that the difference is just too subtle for me now. It all looks good to me. For the most part. I mean, these shadows here look bad, and I'm not sure I'll ever live to see grass stop popping in like that in games. But it has some shortcuts I don't mind too. Like if you do a quick turn, you see how the clouds look like they're pinned on a tackboard? Same goes for the trees. We have some floating point sprites, I think. I mean, that or they're just watching you, but, hey, look, it's night already. Now, ironically, I think the night lighting isn't nearly as impressive as the day lighting. But again, we're coming back to that. It's like I said, this game has layers. The night driving helps give us more atmosphere though, and I'm all about that. I love the thought that the courses are open day or night all the time. After all, we need to do our racing. Okay, back to day. I will say what I like the most about this game are the little details. At its core, the layout of this game is quite simple, but they've added a lot of small things to make it feel more real. Like, hey, notice how there was another road here that we never go on? Where does it go? Or did you miss that road up there? Well, usually you can't drive on them, but sometimes you can. Aha! Ah, it goes nowhere, but it sure felt like it could have gone somewhere. Plus, you can always cheat with the camera and see where they go. Look at this! This is a whole separate raceway. And look, there's a speed strip here. Why? Or hey, what if we just decide we want to see the rest of the Grand Canyon? Well, you can. Bye, course. Bye. Yeah, there's no invisible walls here. You're as free as a bird in this game. You can keep going, too. And going. Now, of course, the texture fidelity gets worse because this was just meant to be a backdrop, but the point is the game doesn't stop you. Yeah, over the ridgeline. Hey, look, another ridgeline. Let's keep going. And another ridgeline. On we go. Yeah, eventually you may regret going this far because you'll come into the edge of all known reality and head off into the void. And the sheer sunlight that was in your old existence kind of makes the world look like an atomic bomb is going off. But we're getting off track now. The point is, I love all these little details. Like, hey, what is this? A guard station? What's in there? A phone and first aid kit? What are all these tanks for? More fuel? And hey, look, there's a small lit road inside this arch thing that looks like it could be a dam, but I don't think it is. Where do these doors go? To mystery, that's where. Now, at its core, all this game is just racing a car down a track and getting the fastest time. But there is so much polish on this. My brain keeps drifting and trying to fill in gaps as I play it. One thing I think is lost in a lot of modern games is in old ones, the graphics would be so abstract that your imagination would just start to kick in and imagine what the world is. Well, it's not the same, but I'm finding this game keeps provoking that feeling with me. I'm wondering what's down the road? What's over the next canyon? What is all this? How did it get here? Now, I'm pretty sure I'm looking for meaning where there is none, but I found something anyway. If this was truly meaningless, then everything would just be semi-random and have no pattern. But no, through the course of playing this, my brain is filling in a fairly consistent picture of what's going on here. I wasn't even trying to, it just happened. So here is the story of Trackmania 2. This is a post-apocalyptic game. Something happened to humanity. They're all gone. We'll dive into that a little more later. It happened rather recently too because the tracks look relatively fresh, aren't covered in dust, but everything is abandoned. You never see any sign of human life in this game. Now you might be saying, what about the drivers? What drivers? Nobody's driving these cars. Look, you see anybody inside? This is all automated. But what's the purpose of all this? Why do we have all these elaborate courses? Well, I think it's simpler than you might think. I've heard people talk before about billionaires saying they have more money than they could ever spend. Well, as a kid, I thought that was silly. I had all kinds of ideas. Now, as I grew older, I developed a better grasp of concepts like responsibility, shame, and just an understanding we have finite resources. So the more of them you have, the more you influence the direction of humanity. So as an adult, if I was a billionaire, well, I think I could still spend all of it. In fact, I'm pretty sure I would, to try and give us a fighting chance, change the flow of history a little bit. So I wouldn't stay a billionaire, there would just be too much to accomplish. But I see now, I couldn't spend nearly all that on myself. Squandering that level of resources would just come at too high a cost collectively. I mean, assuming we're not in a simulation, then I could. But you know what? Scientists checked for that and couldn't find any evidence for it. So you can rest easy tonight knowing that you're real. But anyway, all that's the adult speaking. What if a 6 or 7-year-old me was a billionaire with no guidance at all and was just acting on pure impulse? Well then, yeah, This is exactly the sort of thing I could come up with. I wouldn't just buy a racetrack, that's boring. I would make the ultimate racetrack where you do flips, jumps, rocket down canyons like it's geological pinball. It would be awesome. Everything about these tracks is consistent with this being a billionaire's dream project. Somebody loaded was thinking like 6-year-old me, and we're looking at the fruits of their vision. It probably would take a billionaire to pull this off, too. This is either at or around the Grand Canyon, so you would have to pay a bunch of lobbyists to get the government to sell it to you. Then of course there's the construction cost. I'm pretty sure these lights are running off of hydroelectric power and use buried lines. So the cost of this would add up, but if you're a billionaire, you can move mountains. Literally. Plus, we can cut corners. We don't have to worry about safety regulations because this is all for unmanned cars. We just need a crap ton of concrete, supports, and labor. But hey, who's to say a lot of the labor couldn't be automated too? This could have been built by robots for robots. And hey, notice how we treat the cars with utter disdain? Some courses you need to trash the cars in order to get the best times. Some have the finish line end with a head-on collision or just dump the cars over a cliff afterwards. Why should we care? This is for billionaires. We have thousands of cars. Now, we'll probably never know why some billionaire built a gigantic 8th wonder of the world race course, but I think it's as simple as he wanted to. You may have heard of the stereotype of some guys having a midlife crisis, so they buy a sports car to feel young again or fulfill that fantasy. Well, if you're a billionaire, why stop there? Don't just buy a sports car world. And of course, the other half of this is that shortly after the construction of this marvel, the apocalypse happened. So all we have left is automated cars running on tracks. There are no crowds, no cameras, no witnesses, no signs of human activity whatsoever. And you know what? The music supports this too. I don't like the music to this game. Oh sure, it has the right tempo for a racing game, but all of it has this slightly dark, depressing tone to it. Yeah, that does not put me in a mood for a fun or exciting race. I mute it. But you know what? I can't say it's not fitting if we're talking about the apocalypse and all of humanity is extinct and we're just witnessing the last remnant of our mark on this world. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Easter Island, where we don't know exactly what happened, but the society that used to live there is long gone, and all we have left are these awesome giant head statues. Well, one leading theory is that they spent too much time and resources making these statues and deforested the island, causing part of the ecosystem to collapse, leading to them starving themselves out. If you've played Minecraft on island survival mode and don't do a good job, it's basically the same thing, just on a larger scale. And not long ago, I was seeing articles on how that's not the case, their society didn't collapse, but I read through some of these and all I got from it was that there were signs that the natives were cooperating with each other. I don't see that as being mutually exclusive from wiping yourselves out. The point is that a billionaire expending countless resources on some vanity project the same time civilization is ending is hardly a fantasy scenario, and may have some historical equivalents. Except for those painted speed boost strips, I see nothing implausible about this scenario at all. In fact, the more I play, I can't shake the idea from my head. I think TrackMania Canyon is still well within the realm of hard science fiction here. There's a million stories about the apocalypse, but some are more believable than others. I mean, come on. If we're talking about apocalyptic racing in the desert, we have to acknowledge the Mad Max series. But Mad Max is a little more on the fantasy side. I mean, it's possible. Don't let anyone tell you you can't have a Mad Max reality. In fact, while Trackmania here takes billions, with enough planning, you can pull off a Mad Max experience on just a middle-class income. Less if you have the right connections. But the thing is, there is such a small window where something like that can happen. You know what's largely missing from the Mad Max movies? Food? Water? Oh sure, we see him eating a can of dog food, but what about everybody else? Now in the new one, we at least see the existence of water, so that's something. But they're rationing it big time. I mean, they show what? At least 10,000 people and they're all desperate for water? That's not gonna last long. Oh sure, they show hydroponic gardens and some greenery on the mesas, but we're gonna need a lot more than that. Plus, you can't tell me those guys don't eat meat, so that's probably gonna triple the requirements. In Thunderdome, we have pigs. Okay, what are they eating? How are you getting that food? You can't keep feeding them people forever. So, roaming punk rock gangs taking over the desert? Plausible. Them keeping that up for more than a couple weeks without a reliable water source and an agricultural pipeline? Fantasy. The desert is no place to be in the apocalypse, guys. But that is not a concern for our robot cars here. All they need is more track to drive on. Now you've probably noticed by now, after each race, if your time is good enough, you can get a bronze, silver, or gold medal. This is a nice little bonus, but these medals matter because you need them to unlock tracks. Again, I can't show you this because no backwards progress, but imagine these tracks locked off until you get a medal in what came before them. Actually, I lied. I can show you this, because the black tracks, I'm locked out of. I need to get a gold medal in every single track prior to this. And I almost did it. Look, 56 out of 60. But those last 4 tracks might take me as much time as all the others to master. Trackmania pulls out the knives on the later levels. Oh yeah, I should have seen that coming. Oops. 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 The tracks turn merciless. Although to their credit, I feel like they handled the loop-de-loop highways pretty accurately. Yeah, see, there's one. Sonic the Hedgehog makes it look easy, but the reality is you need a lot of speed and careful steering to get over one of these. They just don't teach this stuff in driver's ed. See, look, I can't even pull this off reliably. This game takes place out west, I think, but in mountainous regions like Tennessee or West Virginia, they like to throw speed traps in front of these as a way to boost local income, and it's just not safe, especially for truckers. You just need speed on loop-de-loop roads, that's all there is to it. Back to the game, the difficulty required to actually access the black tracks is insane. Okay, now I'm not the world's best player, but we can actually see where in the world I stack up. See, there we go. I'm in the top 19% or so, and I can't do it. I cannot get to those black tracks. Oh, and remember how I said there's bronze, silver, and gold? Well, there's actually a secret green medal. I don't know, emerald? Apparently this means you beat the track designer's time. I managed to get 1 of these, so I guess that means this is the easiest track to do it on. But I like the concept of completely hidden awards like this. But this game is balanced for psychopaths, is what I'm trying to say here. I'm not proud of my score. In fact, I feel tricked I played the game trying to boost it as much as I did. It puts you in this maddening repetitive loop where you're literally trying to shave milliseconds off your time, and the slightest mistake means you may as well start over. Oh look, I'm a millisecond behind already. Better start over. Some people enjoy this sort of thing. I hate this. I hate this crap. But I got suckered into doing some of it anyway. I watched a video not long ago about this guy trying to beat the world record of level 1 from Doom, and, well, just hear it for yourself.
It took 50,000 attempts over the course of more than a year to achieve, and embodies the thing that I love most about speedrunning: the pursuit of perfection.
That is who Trackmania is balanced for. People like that. Just the concept of doing the exact same thing that many times in a game feels like some sort of existential horror to me. Sure, you may have your world record, but at what cost?
For me, there is nothing sweeter than spending hundreds of hours trying to beat a single level 1 second faster than anyone else before.
Okay, well, I can think of a lot of sweeter things myself, but, enjoy your game? See, when I see a game requiring me to do the exact same thing over and over, it starts to wake me up. Because my brain starts sending me a signal like, hey, This isn't fun anymore. If you want to memorize something over and over again, maybe you should learn an actual skill, like a different language, or how to play guitar, or karate, or just anything with long-term value. Now, that's not to say I don't like a challenge, but for me, a good challenge is a little unpredictable. So you have to rely on your skill more than your memorization. And hey, remember how I said this game has layers? Well, apparently a lot of tracks have these 1 in 1,000 chance shortcuts that cut that time even lower. So yeah, better line up the physics engine just right for that one. Go to hell. In The Matrix, Agent Smith talks about how they initially tried to make reality a living paradise for people, but their brains kept trying to wake up. No, that's not how it works. Paradise keeps me playing the game. This right here, this is what wakes me up. Well, the good news is Trackmania has a built-in escape route too. I'm never gonna see these tracks legitimately, but I can download copies of them and play them anyway. Yeah, better yet, I can download thousands of other tracks too. Yeah, the developer has embraced modding to a large degree and includes a map editor and just endless custom tracks that people create. This is the real meat of the game right here. Though I recommend going to the website to get them, since doing it through the game itself feels kind of like browsing the internet in the early 90s Prodigy style. This adds a lot of replay value to the game, and I honestly prefer many of these maps to the originals. In fact, I really should have just filmed the episode playing nothing but these and left everyone confused. And I would be remiss to not at least mention that Trackmania has a long tradition of merging demos from different players, so you can watch the cars flow through the level like a torrent of water. I see this, and I feel like this is the purpose of just computers in general. The history of computer development was just building towards this, right here. We did it. And that would about wrap things up, but wait, there's more. Remember how I said there's a scandal? Well, here it is. I've been showing you the old version of TrackMania Canyon. Now, why would I do that? Well, I like it better, mostly. Now, I'm not sure of the dates, but I stopped playing this around 2016, I think. But I just found myself coming back to this game each summer. I mean, this game nails just how hot and sunny it gets out in the desert. I've heard how you can bake cookies on your car's dashboard out west. They look a little doughy to me, but I imagine it'll get hotter in the coming years, so this game is perfect for that kind of weather. It's going to age well. The evenings are gorgeous. I love them. I could drive for hours in lighting like this. And it's even better than real life because here I don't go blind from the sun. So when I fired up the game a year later, okay, a new HUD, whatever, but something felt wrong. I remembered this game being so gorgeous. It still looks about the same, but just doesn't jump out at me the way it used to. Was I remembering it as being better than it was? Because I just wasn't finding the magic. Sometimes your memory tricks you on games. Well, no. My brain knew something had changed, and it did. Now, despite having an offline mode, this is a game that's always updating when you do connect. And my paranoia about these kinds of games is significant. And thankfully, I'm not the only one, since somebody cracked the old version of this game, which I backed up and have been showing to you. So, thanks to the magic of just being able to back up your damn game, let's compare the differences. Okay, now this is subtle, but the old version is just brighter and feels more authentic to me. I mean, if you've been out in the desert in the middle of the day, yeah, it is sunny and it is hot. It looks more like the old version to me. The new one is okay, but instead of noon, it feels more like 2 or 3 o'clock. And even then, it's just not as bright. Look how much darker it is. Now, I can't do a completely neutral comparison because the clouds shift in the game and cause the sun to wax and wane. But even if you time-lapse things and try and normalize it, it's just different. Now, I'm not a lighting expert, so if you are, you can weigh in on which version is more accurate. I certainly prefer the old version more. I mean, if I had to choose where I'm going to go and get heat exhaustion, I would want this one for sure. They also changed the barricades from red to blue. Why? But let's check more scenarios. The tunnel lighting does look a little more accurate on the new version, but the old one looks nicer, which is kind of what I care about more. And look at the exit. Remember, this is a hot, sunny day we're racing in. The old version's a little exaggerated, but come on, we're inside a cave. Now, morning light is a mixed bag. It was never great on the original, but they shifted the time again, so I honestly can't tell which is better. I can tell they're both morning, so that's good. They seem to be pushing that yellow bloom a little too much on the new one, though. But evening is where I get upset. I think they changed the time of day again, and the old version just feels like it has a brightness and energy to it that the new one doesn't. I mean, I like all evening light, but man, I just like the old one better. But night is where things get conclusive. Now again, if I'm going to be fair, overall, the lighting direction on the new one looks a little better. Parts of this look more like what I would expect a lit track at night to look like. But again, they can't stop themselves on this bloom. This looks way overkill. We're definitely losing that almost real look the game sometimes has. But here's where we set the record straight. Look at the shadows. Yeah, what shadows? We have these bright spotlights and it seems to have no impact at all. In fact, I think the only shadow is from the moon. So now let's compare this to the old version. Oh, look at that. We have multiple fading shadows from every light source behaving exactly as you'd expect. This isn't some option I forgot to turn on in the new version. In both cases, I'm using the default graphic settings for very nice. In fact, look at this. If I try to customize it in the new launcher, they removed the freaking option for very high. Nice. But let's keep going. Even if I manually set shadows to high on the 2014 version, I still have multiple shadows in game. Looks like high isn't as high as it used to be. Don't you love updates that remove features? Aren't those just the best? I mean, this is an objective downgrade. 6 years after release. That is damned weird. I'm not sure I've seen something like this before. I've heard of games getting downgrades from pre-release footage. That happens all the time. And I've heard of remakes or ports being worse than the original. But I don't think I've seen a game you bought and owned get an irreversible update that objectively makes some of the graphics worse. I can believe it's happened, as I'm sure some of you will tell me, but this was new for me. Actually, The Crew had something like this going on too, but that'll have to wait for a follow-up. Now, I'm the first to admit, this is very nitpicky, and I appreciate games with way more primitive graphics than this. All I have to say to that is when I fired up this game again, I wasn't trying to make a comparison. I was just expecting another good time in Canyonland. And instead, my brain kept screaming something was wrong and this was a bad dream. So, nitpicky or not, these changes were noticeable enough to make me doubt everything I remembered. And once again, I get to prove I'm not crazy. I really don't like how many times I need to keep doing that when making this show. It happens way more often than I would have thought. And that's the game. It's simple in a way, but has a nice feel, especially the old version. But whoa, wait a minute. Trackmania had a bunch of expansions. What about Trackmania Squared? Yep, it sure does. Canyon was just the first in line. Next we had Stadium, which, I don't know. I don't get the same magic from a stadium as a bunch of open, mysterious canyons. It feels limited by design. Plus, lately it seems like stadiums, or stadia, are emerging as a secret nemesis for me. I really didn't see that one coming. So I passed on Stadium, even though to their credit, this looks about as impressive as you can get for one. They like to throw in inflatable balloon things here and there, so the game can't be all bad. And damn it, those are drivers. So that throws my apocalypse theory out the window. So there are people, but there's still no crowds or cameras. What's going on? Stadia! After that was Trackmania Valley. Huh. Ponds and forests, small European towns, marble cliffs, backwood roads. Oh, hell yes. There could be anything there. Yeah, I was all in on this one. Once it became as cheap as a sandwich, I picked it up. So we're going into overtime. Bonus episode. No, wait, we're not done yet. They have more. After Valley, I guess the series had an identity crisis and released a standalone game as a sort of sampler pack of all the others. Plus, it added a new one, a tropical environment. I would have rather just seen an all-out tropical expansion, but I guess this is good? If I had to guess, this is the equivalent of a remix sale to boost revenue for the company. But next, Trackmania Lagoon, which I didn't even realize existed until I started making this video. See, this is exactly what they should have had before Trackmania Turbo. Except I guess by holding the tropics hostage, that led to more sales of Turbo. Let's see, tropical beaches, roller coaster style rails leading up into the sky, classy resort buildings which are completely abandoned because it's still the apocalypse, majestic jungle covered peaks. Yeah, okay, I'm sold on this one. As soon as it goes on sale for the price of a sandwich, I'm in. But for now, Trackmania Squared Valley! Yeah, okay. Well, this is gonna be a pretty short bonus episode because it's the same game. Oh sure, we have a totally new environment and new tracks and all that, but in terms of mechanics, I think it might be completely identical to Canyon. I do remember thinking the dirt handling changed, but that could be my imagination also. I don't know, don't trust me on that. What you can trust me on is this game also has a great spring or summer feel to it. Or it used to, anyway. I can't assume anything now since they keep changing the graphics, but it appears to be okay. Okay, if we're to trust my blurry memory, which apparently is more stable than this game, mornings looked a little different. I think they screwed with the bloom some more. It's almost hard to look at some of the tracks in the morning because of the contrast. I don't remember it being this bad. Midday may look even better on things like the grass and road, but again, this bloom. I don't know, it just feels like they're overdoing it. Alright, I could swear evenings used to be brighter. They're still nice, but I think I like the old ones better. Night may be better, but again, we're missing our shadows. Am I imagining it this time? Nope, I found a video of the old version. The shadows used to be there. They got rid of them again. I think it's the same thing as Canyon. Some things are better, some things are worse, but it doesn't matter because you can't go back. Unlike Canyon, there's no crack for Valley. It's their way or no highway. However, I did back up all my old files from 2014. They don't work, but maybe someday we can unlock them to see which version is really better. Where am I? Oh, that's right. My point was Trackmania Valley is games as a service, except it sort of isn't. You have to connect online the first time, but then if you never connect again, I think your game is backed up, unless you have to reinstall Windows or Steam or something else happens. Then I think you're screwed if you want to run the old version. If you connect even once, it's all over. Yeah, look at that. Compulsory download. Now, I don't understand what the hell is happening with these updates, but this whole experience gives me a thought I can't shake. Games as a service are becoming more and more prolific now. Since you can't control when most of them update, what's to stop companies in the future from releasing their best graphics for a game at launch, then after a few years have passed and they're ready to release a sequel? They go ahead and do subtle downgrades to the original to make the new game look better. I would not put that past modern companies. Now that sounds outrageous, but we just saw a patch that objectively makes some of the graphics worse 6 years after the fact. So nothing's off the table now. Anyway, visual crisis aside, I feel like Valley is half a dream come true for me. Because lots of these tracks are gorgeous. I love going on the highway segments, past the villages, through farmland, up and down cliff roads. I could do stuff like this all day. And I say half a dream because it keeps leaving me hungry for more. I want more villages, more farms, more! And these roads in particular make me feel like I'm driving on a giant mini golf course at night. Awesome. The developers have embraced modding, but really, I want to see it taken to the next level and just open up the floodgates. Hey, maybe somebody thinks they can make more Gothic cottages, more forests, and maybe better ones. Well, let's get them in the game. Trackmania 2 has its gameplay formula, which possibly hasn't changed in over 15 years. This game's evolution is all about the environments, which I can't get enough of. I want it even easier for people to make great courses and big ones. I don't actually want an endless runner style game because I like having a destination. Like in Radmobile when you finish the race and this giant crowd is cheering for you and some overweight cop comes to arrest you, I guess, but instead he explodes into a contestant for a beauty pageant? Like that. But I do want endless destinations. We kind of have that now with online tracks, but it could be even more. Maybe you could have procedurally generated courses that could be skewed more towards highway, farmland, and so on, as just starting points. Then people could use those as a foundation, then customize them some more. Maybe somebody has a great looking commute on their way to the sawmill and wants to share it with the world. Well, I want to drive it. Or maybe somebody was driving a road in a dream and they have to show it to you. Fine, I want to see it. At its core, that's not really what Trackmania is about. But damn, it's getting close and gives me that illusion in many satisfying ways. On to the music. The music in Valley still isn't my favorite. But it doesn't make me hate life the way Canyons does, so that counts for something. I think they could do better, but it's okay. Plus, I have to give credit where it's due. The Mania Planet music where you browse the games is heavenly. The Valley menu theme is a nice one, too. I sometimes get this theme in my head when I've finished a monumental amount of work. Holy cow, look at all those green medals! It's freaking Emerald City up in here! I don't even remember doing that! I mean, I think I did one or two, but I have no idea. To be fair, I have spent more time playing Valley because, hey, I like my countryside. There's been so many updates, this might be a glitch. I don't know. But let's assume the system didn't glitch out. Let's take a look here. Boom! I'm in the top 9.2% best players in the world for Trackmania Valley. So naturally, I've unlocked the... Nope, still not good enough. 56 out of 60, again. I'm telling you, these games are balanced for psychopaths. Oh look, I didn't even attempt this track here. I bet I know why. Yep, 10 laps. That is pure garbage. I mean, the map looks nice, but 2 laps around would have been fine. But 10 laps? No. I think I'd rather take some piano lessons, something like that. That'd be a better use of my time. And it doesn't matter anyway, because even if I got a gold medal on this track, I still have those others to hack through, which were clearly a nightmare if I didn't finish them, and this is coming straight to you from the top 10%. But if you're not convinced this game is ridiculous yet, here's a bonus for you. I mentioned before how you can browse for additional content online. Well, at the time, there was a promoted user-made expansion pack called Endless Valley that I think got endorsed by Natio. It had an official scoring system like the normal tracks. Most custom maps don't have that. And of course, I only progressed so far before I got locked out of the rest of the tracks, but here's the thing. This was years ago, and my memory is blurry on this, although so far it seems more stable than this game is. But I remember it told me that I was the highest rank for that expansion in the world. Number 1. Now, of course, that's because most players didn't try out this expansion, so it was me being a big fish in a small pond, but still. I was apparently the reigning champion, and I couldn't even unlock all the tracks. Is that amazing balance or what? No wonder it got approved. That's what Natio wants to see. Of course, now, due to all the updates, my score is completely scrubbed, which is fine. I don't really care about that. But they updated this game hard. Oh sure, some of the tracks still work, but look at this one. Huh, this one's tricky. Yeah, gonna have a tough time beating this track. I see why it's called Endless Valley. It didn't used to do this. Nadia broke this expansion plus God knows how many other tracks with their updates. You know, I appreciate how they're embracing user-made content, but this is just irresponsible. It's one thing to screw with the graphics, but they're breaking the content too. Have a compatibility mode or something. That, or somebody make a crack for this game so I could run my old files and prove I'm not making all this up. I don't blame you if you think I am. I'm making a lot of claims here. But hey, top 10%, da 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 da. Okay, I found this out at the last minute. I was browsing comments, and apparently their latest update not only broke the maps, but removed split screen mode. Wow, that is downright hostile to players. This guy's right, too. I can't find the option now. Yeah, that might be a first. When's the last time you saw local multiplayer get taken away from a game you already own? Man, that might be lawsuit material. Well, you can still play it on the old version. Here's the proof. This is me recording it right now. I did find a video on a mod claiming to do it, but I didn't test this, and with these kinds of games, you never know if that works now, but won't work in a year after the next update, or what. Regardless, the company took away split screen. That much is clear. You can only have it by pirating the old copy or maybe hacking the new one. I know I shouldn't be surprised by this sort of thing by now, but I'm still amazed that a company will remove things they previously sold to you on a whim. If they can do that, what's the point of even having consumer laws then? I'm sorry, this wasn't planned at all. I had no idea they were doing this when I made this episode. Well, too late. I'm not redoing this. The video is almost over. This was supposed to be positive. It's a bright and sunny racer. What the hell? Well, that was kind of a bombshell for me, but what I was going to say is Trackmania Valley also advances my theory that the apocalypse has occurred. Although now we know whatever happened didn't affect all animal life as we see birds present. It was at least contained to mammals, if not humans only. We get a few more clues about the nature of the apocalypse also. Canyon didn't give us that because it was some private course out in the middle of the desert. There's hardly anyone out there anyway. It felt relatively isolated. But here, no. There were people here. Pretty sure this takes place in rural France. See? Forêt. The real takeaway though is the abandoned farms and villages with not a soul in sight. Yes, you do hear church bells. But come on, a lot of those are automated now. There aren't any parked cars or churchgoers. This tells us a lot about what we're dealing with. This was no ordinary collapse. See, if this was a viral outbreak, there would be bodies or skeletons, but there's none of that here. If it was an event involving radiation or some imminent threat that hasn't hit yet, well, there would be empty cars, trash, signs of looting, and so on. Evacuations are sloppy, even if you have notice. People panic or just get rushed and a lot gets left behind. No, whatever happened here was very orderly. Now, of course, it's possible a billionaire just bought out the land and ushered people out after building his raceway, but we still don't have any planes overhead. And yeah, Stadium throws a wrench into the works, but let's get real. Something happened here. Look at those flags. This was an international event, yet there are no spectators. Why is there nobody to cheer their team on? Because they're all gone, that's why. And hey, I'm going out on a limb here, but I bet there's not a living soul in Lagoon. Just more empty robot cars. It's the apocalypse, guys. I don't have an answer for what happened to the world of Trackmania, though if I had to guess, I'm leaning towards aliens. Not only did they abduct us, but they took a lot of our stuff too, including our parked cars, trash, pets, probably everything not nailed down or in storage. So the good news is humanity may not actually be dead. We're just floating through space right now on the aliens' recreated environment inside some massive ship, and Trackmania is simply showing what the billionaire racing enthusiasts left behind. I keep wanting to come back to these games because there's been some magic created here between endless surreal racing, beautiful environments, and the apocalypse. I would still be happy playing this if it wasn't the apocalypse, though. Okay, awards time. Best Realistic Surreal Racer. There's something unnatural about Trackmania, and yet it looks realistic in places. It has a unique vibe to it that I don't get from other racing games. Games as a Service Gray Zone. This applies more to Trackmania Valley, since I'll be able to run the old version of Canyon to the end of time thanks to pirates. But man, it's weird to see a game that you sort of own and have control over, but have all these pitfalls waiting to sabotage that. In fact, in the course of making this video, at one point the game simply decided it wasn't cool with me playing in offline mode anymore. Came out of nowhere. I don't know what's going on. Well, I still have the old Valley files. Maybe one day we can unlock those. And finally, the graphics conspiracy is real. This game is all about the atmosphere for me. So Nadio screwing with that leaves me with really mixed feelings on the series. The moral to this story is if you're going to upgrade the graphics to your game, be sure you actually upgrade them and not pull this mixed bag crap. And that's the episode. Stay tuned for the real follow-up episode. Have a nice rest of the summer and enjoy the apocalypse. All right, this time, go. Okay. Oh, get up there. Get up there. Get up there.